can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best or we can be the worst. We can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play. Life in the
Well,
bright
hello,
lights with no
hello,
shades.
ladies and gentlemen. We are here today. Oh my, we are here today to talk about several different things going on in the racing world. Hold on, we should probably move this a little bit over. We can actually do that now with the new setup that is obtained here. But ladies and gentlemen, there's been a bunch of things happening in the world and in the racing world in particular over the weekend, of course, and we're going to get right into it. We ain't going to be messing around with our opening soliloquies and all these things. We're going to get right into the situation. Obviously, one of the racing things that occurred, I guess we could call it, was the BC39. I'm going to go ahead. I'm sorry, late model people. I guess I could say this. I am going to go ahead and skip the events at Rocket Raceway Park. I personally feel embarrassed by what I witnessed at that event. I was actually inquisitioning a bunch of people trying to get down there to that event because the track there, the racing there, I thought would be like premium. I thought this was going to be like one of the best late model races of the season. Just because I do know that track, I know the people involved in that track, they do a hell of a job. And the modified races there are unbelievable. They're just unbelievable down there. And even some of the sprint car stuff that I've seen. But unfortunately, I think we learned, and I should have learned last year at last year, I think Mason City, that some of these modified tracks are just not good, super late model tracks. And that, unfortunately, was the case for Rocket Raceway Park. So I'm not going to talk about that because I only have bad things to say. And I don't think the people involved in that racetrack wanted that. I don't think the World of Outlaws wanted that. And it's just not a good thing. And there's just not anything good to say about it. But unfortunately for Fendered Racing, there's a lot of good things to say about the sprint car world currently. And in particular, or the open wheel. We need to start calling it the open wheel world, I would say. But one of the things that did happen, hold on, let me get this going up here. One of the things that did happen this weekend was the BC39. They went up against weather. They did all kinds of crazy things. I would love to show you the highlights, but we cannot here on the show. Go talk to a couple other people who are very upset at this Flow Racing situation and how they collapsed the content. Hopefully, I'm just going to be able to show you some clips throughout this, not necessarily play them, but just still images. But the BC39 fought the weather, actually got the race in. Chase McDermott was out front. A majority of the race got out to the lead. It looks like 20 to go here. But apparently the show was Jade Avedisian. And I mean, watching the show, she was the cowboy upper. For sure, she was the one out there that was not holding anything back, driving it as hard as she could. Of course, after the race, everybody was blowing my stuff up. They were like, Chaz, did you see Jade Avedisian? Oh, my God, how can you believe this? Now, of course, I judge things fairly. I understand that Jade Avedisian is the hot ticket item for a bunch of you people of the racing world. But I like judging things fairly. And even though Jade Avedisian, like I said, was the Sheldon Hodden child of this event, for instance, just going insane out there, she did give a little bump to the 97, which flattened the left rear. A little over-aggressive. She is always overly aggressive. If you want to go study Jade's career, she's got some questionable aggressive moves that have put other guys in very bad positions. But the determination to put on a show was very impressive here. Had opportunities, was up there battling. I believe that was the contact that put the left rear out. But there was a few contacts actually that happened with Jade Avedisian. This was the move of the race, technically, that ended McDermott's dominating performance. I mean, there would have been nobody catching him. I mean, this is coming to white right here. This is 2 to go down the back straightaway, entering 3. He was gone, but he came off of turn number 4 here. And I don't know what happened, really. Just maybe clipped the berm, made a mistake, but Cannon McIntosh was able to sneak by. Jade Avedisian tried to rail the top, but it just wasn't enough. The bottom was very dominant, which I think that's why it was very impressive for what Jade Avedisian was attempting to do, because nobody wanted to go up top. It was very dangerous. You could see it in this frame right here. You were on the edge of tipping the car over. So a very heightened emotional situation. And the woman was controlling her emotions a little bit better than the men. She was like, all right, I'm going up here and just going to do it. Fuck y'all. Now, once again, that did cause some contact in the fuck y'all department, I think, with a few different cars, a little overly aggressive. But once again, if you've paid attention to Jade Avedisian, which I have, you will see that she does some very overly aggressive things on the racetrack, and some drivers have been upset about that and voiced out displeasures of the situation. But a good drive by Jade Avedisian, and everybody blows my damn Facebook up and everything along those lines is like, Chaz, you got to pay attention. This girl's the best. Okay, so I do think out of the line of female racers we've seen come through the ranks here in the open wheel midget world, I would say Jade Avedisian looks to be the potentially better of them all. Now, I guess I'm sexist because I just said them, but that's all right. Sue me. Although it's a joke, but it's not a joke. I still believe in the two genders. Regardless, I do think Jade Avedisian is very good. And I was really high on Kaylee Bryson, watching her come up through the micro ranks as well. But my only... And this isn't a thing against Jade. This is a thing against midget racing. This is a, and I hate to be the negative Nancy here, but this is my problem with these scenarios is, a person like Jade Avedisian should, in my opinion, be trying to go wing sprint car racing or something like that and become a star of our industry to help grow our industry. I also think that should be the case for Corey Days and all these other things, but the industry is not set up that way. In the open wheel world. If it was the fendered world, she would go and be a Ricky Thornton Jr. and we'd have a star to grow our industry, and we would be properly managed as an independent industry in the open wheel world. But we don't do that. We live on asphalt dependency, and that's our stars. So we're just here to send them off. We're just a stepping stone to the next level. We don't treat our sport like the top, unlike the fendered racing world. Now, anyway, I would like to see that. But once again, referencing Kaylee Bryson, and this is where it's hard for me, and I think for a lot of people to properly judge midget racing in today's society, is when we see these midget guys jump into these wing sprint cars, they don't really perform. I mean, Kaylee Bryson was getting outran by Tucker Bolton in Florida. This is a guy who, it's him and his dad setting the car up, and they're in a damn F-250. And she was running down there with a Howards, I believe. Very well put together team. I believe. Don't shoot me. But I was looking forward to that. I was like, all right, Bryson's going to put it on their ass and just upended. I was like, oh my God, this Tucker Bolton I've been covering down at Riverside International Speedway on a weekly basis, driving 305s and, trying to win some 360s or this, that, and the other is whooping her ass. I thought Bryson was like, the next damn gravel or something, not this. And then once again this year at Belleville, Bryson wins the Silver Crown race, but can't really keep up when they put the 305s on the track, and she was in a Hewish car. And that's 305. So outside of the Bryson performance down in Florida, maybe that was a few years ago. She needed time to develop. She won the Silver Crown race this year, got into the Hewish 20 and mid-packer. In 305s, guys. 305 racing. So back to how do I judge performance and this is my unfortunate, I guess, thing. People come to me, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of that girl? What do you? This is where I have this problem with midget racing. I don't know if you can judge talent based. Now, obviously, if we were just racing midgets and that was the premium division of motorsports and dirt racing, and maybe that's what y'all consider it, then okay, then that's fine. But then, see, I add a little bit more rationality to the situation. Because when I'm going to judge a division, I'm not going to just judge the difficulty it is to drive the car, which I do think midgets are very difficult to drive, but I have to judge the competition within that sector of class. Who are you going up against? How much does money matter? Can you buy an advantage on the racetrack? Are there other competent drivers in a big amount that is on the racetrack? This is why I give credit to the 305 division, or like your IMCA modified division, or these more affordable divisions of motorsports, is because you have a plethora of competition. And if you want to be the best, you got to be one bad son of a bitch to outrun 1,000 guys on the same level as you. But in midgets, you got KKM, you got CB Industries, you got the Macintosh team, which that went away, I guess. Dalby and them. I mean, he's in a KKM car. So you only got a few teams that are financially your competition. Now, once again, I do think midgets are hard to drive, and I think it takes a great ability. And I do think that hopefully a Jade Avedisian could go into sprint car racing and perform, but it's hard to tell. And I think this is an issue that midget racing is facing now. And that's why you see potentially some of these drivers skipping midgets altogether. You know, it used to be 5-10 years ago, you get in a micro, you get in an outlaw cart, you go to midgets, and then you go to NASCAR or something, or you go to asphalt. Now, we got a few of those examples that are happening right now. Mainly those are financially motivated. I'm not saying that's the case here, but it does seem like midgets are in this weird gray area. Is it, and I had this conversation at Chili Bowl like 4 or 5 years ago with the guy, and he's like, when did this professional race car become a developmental machine? Maybe that's what it is. And if it is a developmental machine, then how are we properly judging it? The people who are performing, are they just performing well against other developmental people? I mean, Cannon McIntosh has had a lot of years. And this is why it's not necessarily a female-male deal. I'm talking about midgets in general. I mean, you see a lot of midget guys perform well getting sprint cars and not really do all that great. McIntosh, one of them, I think he could if he got at it a little bit longer, but it's just hard to judge. It's hard to perceive what midget success actually means in the open wheel motorsports world. I mean, we could even throw the Fendered guys in there on that judgment, right? I mean, look how good Ricky Thornton Jr. did in a midget at Chili Bowl. He's performed relatively well in an average-ish car, not a Toyota superstar machine, but an average-ish car. Ricky Thornton Jr.'s run well at the Chili Bowl. Gets in a 410 sprint car with high limit, just trying to make laps at the back of the B. So this just isn't necessarily a midget deal. Maybe 410, wing 410 sprint car racing is just that. I put that right up there with F1 as far as difficulty to perform and drive. I mean, that's where I put it. I put it above Cup Series and all this asphalt, but that's not the perceived perception of what it is, but I put it that way. I mean, I think it's on that level. We're going to have Tanner Holmes on the show Wednesday. We're going to talk all about that. So if y'all are interested in watching that, going to be one of the probably the most monumental interview. I mean, the questions, the discussion me and Tanner Holmes is going to have on Wednesday is going to be amazing. So stay tuned to that. Subscribe if you want to be able to catch that discussion. It's going to be a good one because that's a person who's had to dedicate his life to the industry. So we're going to be able to talk about the industry in an honest way. And I think a Tanner Holmes or any of these full-time sprint car drivers need to pay attention to how you're perceived, what your class is, how it's ranked. When a Jade Avedisian does what she does at BC39, is it considered the same as what you would do at a local 360 show out in the middle of California at Riverside, like I referenced? I mean, here's a guy average doing better. Little local scene, Riverside International Speedway, 305s, Belleville should be perceived as doing better if you're beating them. So where's this ranking system? Where's the levels at? And that's the problem with midgets. Where do they rank? Kenny Wallace, he had his little ranking system the other day when Ricky Thornton Jr. won a $100,000 stock car race in Iowa. which I consider stock cars very competitive. But he ranked dirt racing in a way. And he said IMCA stock cars was sixth. He also said that number one on the list was World Outlaw 410 wing sprint cars. He said second was super modifieds, third was modifieds. I forgot what he said was fourth and fifth, but he put stock cars at sixth. Or no, he put third. Third was the big block modifieds. Fourth was the UMP modifieds. Fifth was like a sport mod, I think. And then sixth was stock cars. Okay, where's midgets in that? Where's 305s? Where's 360s? So it's like, where are you putting this? Now, once again, I think Jade Avedisian is the best prospect to come out of midgets right now, especially for the female representation, which we do lack in sprint car racing. If we want winged sprint car racing to be perceived as mainstream, like if High Limit, for instance, wants to be this big thing and maybe elevate to a UFC of motorsports, then you have to also consider you have to have representation in your sport. If I was High Limit, I'd be throwing I'd be like, hey, Jay, don't be doing the road course shit and all that. Don't worry about that crap. You just come over here and be our star here in Wing 410 Sprint Car. If I was High Limit, I'd be begging to get Jade Avedisian into the series and be a staple of a charter system. I wouldn't have allowed Corey Day to leave. If James McFadden's leaving and going back and there's an open ride at Roth Motorsports in a charter position in Toyota, I'm putting Jade Avedisian in that ride. Who cares if it takes 2 or 3 years to develop? But this is the mentality that we were talking about in our video the other day that is thinking of making sprint car racing bigger, actually bigger. Not working on a step-down system or a step-up system, not a level, but projecting it as premium, as the top. Those would be the types of moves that you would be making. But anyways, like I said, this is not a Jade Avedisian hate. Like I said, I think she's one of the best prospects. I just think I have an issue similar to a lot of people in motorsports in how to view midget racing success. What does that mean you are doing? And I think that's a problem. It's a USAC problem, but they got a lot of them. Regardless, I mean, what is it? Especially when you get these other examples of you need that midget guy to just jump in winged or something and really show out first go to give that respect back to that class. Just like some people say, oh, well, when we send Corey Day to NASCAR or Kyle Larson wins in NASCAR, that shows how good our sprint cars are. Well, okay, fine. If that's how you think, then same example here. If you want midgets to deserve that credibility and respect or understanding of competition level, then when you send a guy to sprint cars, you need him to whoop some ass or her to whoop some ass so that you can get respect to your class. That means y'all are really good. Not like Bryson. Like I said, I was really high, but not like Bryson, who gets in a 360 mid-packer B mains, gets in a 305 after winning at Silver Crown at Belleville at the same track, gets in a 305, runs mid-pack in one of the best race cars in the country. So this is where it's hard. I could talk in circles on this. We did bring up High Limit and thinking long-term. I did want to talk about that just a little bit. You have Brad Sweet, who was announced as the champion. Mathematically, Brad Sweet is the champion of the High Limit sprint car division. And a lot of people are hating on Brad. A lot of people are hating on Brad Sweet. I think it's comical in my personal opinion because they just posted this on today, Monday, 3 hours ago, saying that he has clinched it when technically they knew that the weekend's racing was canceled already. So if that's the case, then he should have been mathematically the champion Friday or Thursday whenever they canceled the weekend racing. So I don't understand that part. I guess it is a part of the news line. They call it Monday morning quarterbacks. They call it the news surge. If you have any kind of news, You don't want to release it Thursday or Friday. Wait till Monday, I guess. I don't know. But a lot of people hating on him. Of course, they're hating on Brad Sweet. Look at him. Look at him. Not even a smirk. A perfect smile. Casey Kane, Napa Auto Parts. Grass and the Valley. 7 wins, 22 podiums, 31 top 5s, 40 top 10s. Average finish of 5th. Points with 4 to go. He's 258 above them all. They still have their little battle for the top 5 in the championship. And they also still have the battle for the midweek money series. That was in the conversation right here. The midweek money series is still up for grabs. Tyler Courtney currently is the points leader of the midnight money series. Brad Sweet only 16 points behind. Corey Day 43. I mean, do we want to talk about Corey Day? I mean, should he come back to sprint car racing? I see when he struggles in ARCA in these trucks, he's really just bored out there. You saw him overdriving the car at Kansas. Honestly, it's not that he can't drive or David Gravel would have did better. He's just sitting out there, and after 10 or 15 laps, he's like, this is the boringest shit ever. So he starts overdriving the car, trying to add excitement to his life. I really think that Corey Day is mid-race in these ARCA and truck races, just driving around this track, literally questioning life decisions. And is like, is this really what as he enters one, like at Kansas, as he drives into turn 1 and lifts out the throttle and the car just goes in the corner and he gets back in on it and everybody's spread out by a second or 2 seconds and a half. I really think as he comes off of 2 and heads down the back straightaway, the young man is sitting there as he's waiting for 5 or 10 seconds to go down the straightaway, just holding the car straight. I mean, you could have a coffee and smoke a cigarette. I literally think he's questioning life decisions. He's sitting there, he's like, this is what Chaz was talking about. This is what David was telling me. This is what probably Kyle, all the jokes about Kyle just bored racing those cars and having to race dirt all the chances he can. This is why I'm so bored out of my mind going straight down this straightaway and not really racing. I think that's what's happening to Corey Day in this NASCAR thing. He's just bored out of his mind. And this is what happens. This is what happens. That's why they consider it's for the money. It's for the money. It's the job. You know, a job is something you go and do that you really don't want to do. I call it modern slavery. And you do it for the money. That's the whip that keeps you in line to continue to do it. It's just a mental whip. This is the trade-off. It's kind of like the sprint car is the man you really love and want to be with forever. But the NASCAR route is the old man with the yacht and the $1 million house. I don't really love him, but if I do this, I'm going to have a really nice life. When you add the love aspect and the relationship aspect, it is pretty sad. Pretty sad. There's actually a tear. That sounded so sad. And this is how I view it. This is why I want sprint car racing to get bigger and everything like that, so that these people don't have to make these choices in life. We just need the guy who she really loves needs to find a way to be bigger and better, so that's an equal relationship, I guess. That's the only option we got here, guys. I mean, it's the only option we got. They're going to keep on going for the money and the man and the yacht and the house and the car and the clothes. That's all it is to go to NASCAR. It's not personal enjoyment, I don't think, personally. I think he's bored out of his mind. But regardless, the midweek money series is still up for grabs. Corey Day's mixed in there. Spencer Baston. Speaking of midget, guys, he's finally catching up to the top 4 or 5 in the 1B series of High Limit. We still consider 1B, right? The High Limit's still a 1B series, correct? I mean, is it not? I mean, you do have these assholes in here. John Sullivan saying, it doesn't sound as cool as 6 World of Outlaw Championship. Wow. They're saying it. Rick Fritz says, yeah. Well, says you. Here comes the Kyle Larson fans. Well, up till last night, Brian Childs. Oh, my. We got to stay off the dark web of the scenario with that last name. Well, up till last year, the World of Outlaws was the most elite title. But this is a new year. And now we have High Limit. High Limit has proven it's right there with the World of Outlaws. And in all honesty, they have had better field of drivers throughout the year. These are just Kyle Larson fans, in my opinion. But we probably still consider the World of Outlaws the 1A. We would slot High Limit into 1B. I think Brad would say that. But Brad's sticking to his own. Brad is sticking to those who have supported him, you know. And I've said it multiple times, and I still think it's true. Those who have kept up with the shows and everything that happened during the whole High Limit midweek series and even the Knoxville Nationals owners meeting a few years ago and all that. I am a firm believer, 100% believe this. When High Limit started those midweek series events, and they were just going to do 12, I am a firm believer that even though potentially Flo had this scheme, or Kyle or his NASCAR buddies had this scheme of, splitting up sprint car racing because it was a rising threat, and they wanted, maybe Flo wanted a national series to rival like they do in the late model world with Lucas Oil and the World of Outlaws, Dirt Vision versus Flo, the streaming wars, the companies, all this stuff, the actual clinching for the pinnacle of the sport. I think that Brad Sweet saw the opportunity of just potentially adding in some more races to where people could race for more money, wanted to kind of be an add-on for the World of Outlaws in this midweek series schedule that went along with the World of Outlaws schedule, and that's what it was in its opening year. But I think, personally, that since the World of Outlaws weren't as open, weren't as handshaking to this idea, who knows why, I think that is why this national series even was created, because of the rejection that it faced from the powers that be in the World Racing Group. That's what I think. Don't know for a fact, but I think that's why. I think if it was openly armed, accepted, and all the drivers could have ran the 12 events that was scheduled, and I think it would have still, I think right now, this High Limit series would be a 12-week midweek series that bounced around the World of Outlaws series schedule. I think that's what would happen. I think that was the intent of Brad Sweet. Was it the intent of Flo? Was it the intent of Kyle? Was it the intent of NASCAR? I don't know. I would lean towards the other side of wanting to debacle the platform because of its rise in strength and popularity. NASCAR learned that with the IndyCar series. That's how they kind of rose. The split between IRL and CART was a very, splitting of the Red Sea in Moses. It led them to the top of the motorsports industry in America. So they've done this plan before. They know what it needs and what has to happen to protect assets. But I don't think that was the case for Brad Sweet. And Brad Sweet, due to the support from Flo and from Kyle, stuck to his guns. He took care of his own in this situation. He was kind of like the taxpayer with ideas, and Flo and Kyle was the government with the ability, and they all worked together to support one another, and he stayed with his country and patriotism. But not to pirouette off the subject, can we actually say that about our country right now? Can we? When we got this hurricane situation that just happened, first of all, I want to say great championship. Congratulations to the loyalty. I may be at I-70. We will see. We are going to change subjects here. I may be at I-70. I may be rolling all the way down to Texas. We got to see how it's going. We got to see. I'm not going to get in a 45-minute debacle on how Brad Sweet and High Limit and World Outlaws are this big thing and blah, 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 blah. The triangle is going to be the triangle. The trio will exist. But we're talking about another trio now, because at least he was loyal to the people that got him to where he is. Maybe he wanted that 6th championship, but he didn't go for it. He went where he created a new relationship and partnership with those who supported ideas and thoughts. Now, unfortunately, this hurricane situation has got me pissed off, okay? And there's a lot of reasons to be pissed off at this situation. And Brad Sweet's the leader of example of how this hurricane deal should be happening. If something goes wrong, you're there for it. If there's opportunity in this land of yours, you should be there for that land that has that opportunity. But that's a spin on the topic as well. So we got this damn hurricane situation, and this Cleetus McFarland is a social media star. I've actually shared conversations with him at Bristol. He's a pretty good guy. He's nice. They actually took 5 tanks of fuel, 100 ish cases of water, some food, insulin, and everything to Asheville, North Carolina. Okay, this is the one of the hardest hit areas of this Hurricane Helen situation. And if you want to pay attention to racing stuff, this is when you could turn out, because we're going to get into some shit that actually matters right now. We're not talking about the Roman circus. We're not talking about the chariots anymore, guys. We're talking about this shit. Although it does involve some chariot-ish actions. It does involve some chariot-ish actions. I don't know if that's a damn word or not, but we'll see. We'll see. So Cleetus McFarland goes up there in their private little helicopter to help out. And this post is by Dirt Dauber Video. They're from the Florida-based area, which is where Cleetus McFarland is operating out of. And then here's something that happened. Mike Knuckles shows a video of the actual helicopter on its landing area and shows the other helicopters that have arrived on the scene with the caption, "Not a government fucking thing in sight. All private." All these people going to Asheville, North Carolina right now in this video are private supporters and responders of the situation. And this makes me think, and I saw this post that went around, Rob Jordan shared it. And it was a tweet. It said, "How many countries are rushing to send money here to help hurricane damage right now? Oh, none? Weird. Yeah, maybe we should stop pouring money into theirs for random stuff." I mean, there's so many things that we spend money on. The caption here was, "This right here is all you need to know going into November." Okay, so they're trying to petty votes here. Hopefully that's not what's happening. But outside of votes, because that's not what really matters. It could matter. It could matter. But Joe Biden did do some stuff for the veterans. Trump did some stuff. A lot of people done some stuff. But everybody is sitting back and watching this happen, and you got Cleetus McFarland going to help, and there ain't another fucking thing in sight. Now, I'm sure there's some governmental situations happening, but it's not obvious, and it should be. It should be just as obvious as Cleetus McFarland showing up to the damn situation. So this is just odd to me. And when I see something odd, I want to know questions, and I want to know answers. What are the questions? See, this is where you would think I would just say I want to know answers. No, I want to know questions, and I want to know answers. This is how you actually judge properly. This is how you don't just make it about November. This is how you make it about how things operate. Because it ain't just about one side or the other. They both fly that same bird. So you got to understand how, why, and where. What's everything doing? What's the point here? Why is this being ignored? What's the question? What's this guy say? What's that guy say? What's the answer to what he's getting? And hell, there was a bunch of different conspiracies around this topic of how this hurricane happened. Obviously, the response and everything is a whole nother situation as to the reason. A lot of people saying natural disaster. Some are saying geoengineering. Some are saying like the Hawaii incident, that whole fire that, destroyed that island in Hawaii. A lot of people were saying direct energy weapons, back to conspiracy theories and all those things. But why would that happen? Why would this be a geoengineering event? So I went to, and I made a post about this, I went to YouTube last night to try to see some good old conspiracy theory videos, because YouTube is the hub for all that. That's where you used to go watch and learn about all this stuff 10 years in advance. Like the movie Sounds of Freedom, for instance, about the whole dark web and all that stuff was being talked about on YouTube like 10, 15 years ago. Everybody thought everyone was crazy, and then it comes out in a movie, and the guy who played Jesus is in it, and everybody believes it all of a sudden. So it's like, okay, well, I know some is fake, and some are rabbit holes, and some are this, and some are that. P. Diddy's and all this stuff, selling the sex tape for $500 million, apparently. I'm just saying, so I want to go see what people are saying about this. There's plenty of videos on the Hawaii deal, and direct energy weapons, and I want to see what's this. Like I said, I was seeing random posts about geoengineering and how this was just a tropical storm at one point, and it turned into this category 4 in rapid time. And there's really only two explanations for that. The rational explanation, which is the explanation I think that everybody's after, and that's why I see the business side of this. If it was intentional, the natural way that this storm went from this tropical, if these posts are true, I'd have to go dig and do my own, not all my own research, but if it did go from this tropical storm to this Cat 4 in such a short period of time, that would be because of global warming, right? Oh my God, we've never seen a storm grow this way before, or the geoengineering thing. Well, like I said, I just had questions. So I went to go and look it up. Obviously, there was that one, and then the creepy side to this geoengineering, and oh my God, coincidental thing was that apparently in 1958 there was a Hurricane Helen, the same name, everything, that arrived in America on the same date and in the same region. I believe it landed on the Carolinas, but 1958. Same name hurricane landed on the same date, September 26th. So that's just creepy in itself too. And when all this stuff starts happening, you're like, okay, what the hell's going on? So, I posted that. I was like, crazy fact. I see these conspiracies around the hurricane, geoengineering, the 1958 Helen that landed on the same date in the same strength area. So I went to YouTube to watch some videos on the topic, since that is the good old conspiracy hub, and there's nothing. To me, that is a conspiracy in itself, especially since I can find plenty on the Hawaii incident. Now, this commenter came in here and started referencing lithium. And I've been hearing about that too, that not only, this, back to the conspiracy, the geoengineering of the situation and blah, 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 how it was intended, but then the target was not only the green energy, like, oh my God, global warming, but this Asheville, North Carolina, where everybody's going to, potentially has lithium deposits. And people have been wanting to mine it. And it was owned by too many public people, and homes and all this would have to be taken out to even mine it correctly. And it was a big problem that there was a society in this Asheville, North Carolina. Back to the business. Let's start adding up the numbers instead of adding up the emotional reactions. So, this Alex Swift comes in here and says, maybe not Asheville, but apparently North Carolina supplied global lithium for a long time. Pedimont Lithium wants to bring it back, and it even mentions in this article from 2 years ago that it is controversial because homes would need to be destroyed. This is 2 years ago. NPR, I know what they used to actually do, legitimate news reports. But it talks about how the locals were, and I read this last night, it talks about how there is potential lithium mines that were open in the 90s and the 80s, and that they wanted to bring back lithium mining, but due to the lack of open area and the need to take out homes and stuff like that, it was basically a plan 2 years ago that fell on its face. This is from November 12, 2022. With a person that was actually a guy named Locke Bell, owns 128 acres in one area, and he said he noticed that these massive mines, open pits, we have enough of the toxic environment there. And he's talking about the old lithium mines that were nearby that were closed in the 80s and 90s. So you kind of have this like angle of, okay, this hurricane grew in a extreme amount of time, or in a very small time, in an extreme way. There's only two ways to explain that: global warming or geoengineering. And then you have a town suffer one of the biggest losses that we're seeing publicly. It's being pumped and pumped and pumped, where there is potentially lithium deposits that need to be mined for the reaction to global warming, which is green energy. So this is not necessarily the best way about it. And he even came down here and said that let's see. There was some more things where it looks like, in this article here, where basically he explained how this company was going to move their productions into Tennessee. Yeah, right here. So the article alludes to them opening a processing plant in Tennessee as a backup plan, and that was from 2022. Well, as of this year, they pulled out of that because it would cost too much to operate and import. So they are back on the kick, digging up North Carolina. So this is just definitely not good. And then I even said this because there was a movie that came out here recently about natural disasters. And it was the new Twister movie. I don't know who watched it. It's a really good movie. I thought it was awesome. I watched it at a drive-in theater out there at Dodge City. It was a really interesting, entertaining night. I watched the new Twister movie, and in that movie, I say it right here, did we not watch the new Twister movie? Wasn't the bad guy in the movie funding a team? He was funding a team for the research for when and where tornadoes and natural disasters would take place, so that his company could take the land from people at pennies on the dollar. That is in the same department of operation, just on a MIC level, which is military industrial complex. Now, what I mean by that is, in the movie, there was a guy, he was like a business operator on commercial real estate, blah, 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 something like that. And he was funding a guy a lot of money to do research on tornadoes and predictability, so they could know where tornadoes were going to land and destroy people's land, so that they could destroy people's houses and things, so that they could come in there right as it happened, right after, be the first one on the step to offer these people money, pennies on the dollar, for their land for bigger projects. And if this little conspiracy of this next, and that was just a regular guy, they're paying for research for weather predictability and alteration, because also in the movie of Twister, they were altering the existence of the tornado. Spoiler for those who haven't watched the movie, cover your ears right now, because I'm going to tell you how it ends. At the end of the movie Twister, everybody was about to get killed in a movie theater, and their development in the research literally they shot it, or the girl drove a truck into the damn tornado, and they released this thing into the air, and it killed the tornado. It altered the tornado. It destroyed it. Now, that's great. In movies, it's all about saving the day. But what if you want to do it the other way around? What if instead of taking a tornado away, you want to make a hurricane bigger and faster? It's just called reverse engineering. I mean, they've been talking about this with the other industries of the world. But if you can do it one way, you can do it the other. If you can pour water in a cup, you could pour the cup. You can't pour the cup in the water, but you could take the same water and reverse it. I'm just saying. So it is funny how the movie explained all this, and we think it's irrational, even though once again, MIC. I'm using the movie example with some little commercial real estate guy and some smart scientists studying tornadoes in Oklahoma. What about when you're the MIC in the MIC military industrial complex? Of course, a lot of people like to talk about the Hawaii deal with the direct energy weapons. Then they reference DARPA. Of course, DARPA is a research and development agency of the United States. For those who don't know what this is a very interesting thing. If you ever look into it, I suggest coming into it with a rational mind, and do not buy all the rabbit holes. I'm not a rabbit hole guy. I'm coming at this with the most logical explanation I can give you. Is a research and development agency of the United States Department of Defense, responsible for the development of emerging technologies for use by the military, originally known as Advanced Research Projects Agency. The agency, oh my God. Last night when I told somebody, and this is just, I just discovered this live on camera, guys. Last night when I told somebody the craziest thing about this Hurricane Helen and its relevancy with all the conspiracies was, in 1958, there was another hurricane named Hurricane Helen, who was the same strength and landed on land on the same damn date as this hurricane did. September 26th, same date, everything. And it was like, wow, the coincidence. What's the coincidence here? I don't want to get into numerology at all right now. Do profess yourself in the topic. But as I'm reading you the description of DARPA, which is one of the, when you go down these rabbit holes, you're going to hear this company all the time when it comes to geoengineering, when it comes to whatever you want to talk about, UFO, when you want to direct energy weapons, every conspiracy theory of, oh my God, can they read minds or whatever, all the nut job stuff, you're going to go back to DARPA. And I'm not saying this means much, but the weird coincidence of a hurricane in 1958 being named Helen, and the person I was explaining this to, they was like, well, what else happened in 1958? Was there anything relationable to all this? And I just read it right now. Originally known as the Advanced Research Project Agency, ARPA, the agency was created on February 7th by President Dwight D. Eisenhower in response to the Soviets. So, I guess I have an answer for the lady who responded with, well, what else happened in 1958? Why would that matter? The creation of DARPA. I can't believe I just discovered this live on camera. I can't believe I just discovered this on camera. By Eisenhower. Oh my God. Do we want to go down that rabbit hole? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, so with all this being said, the technology is potentially possible. Why would they do it? Why would, let's just say DARPA's got this thing, and obviously we're not supporting our own. You don't see the military helicopters. No one's caring about this ash field. They're just letting it sink into the ground. Obviously, for this, once again, for this storm to increase in its strength in that short amount of time, that fast, either global warming is to blame, or this is the DARPA people. And in the logical sense, if global warming is to blame, then we have to start investing into clean, green energy. But the problem with that currently in the business sense is America is really far behind on lithium. Oh, wait. The great spin on all this is that, well, there's always a positive and a huge negative, ladies and gentlemen. And even though global warming caused this hurricane to destroy as much as it did, and in particularly Asheville, North Carolina, this whole town is destroyed, but it's going to also be the center hub for the future of America, because just so happens there's lithium within the grounds of this area that we can use to save and keep this from happening ever again. God, I feel like I'm Kamala Harris. Although Operation Warp Speed with the vaccine was Trump, so they're all in on it. This is what I'm trying to say. I mean, he created the vaccine, he fucking stamps it. I'm the guy who did it. Warp Speed. So they're all in on it. But, geez, I did not, dude, I'm telling you, live on camera discovery with the 58. With the 1958 Hellendo. And I was looking up what else happened in 58. I did not research DARPA. I did not know they started DARPA in 58, man. Wow. That's crazy. Of course, 58, 85. You don't want to know what 85 means. It's a Diddy thing, but red shoes, right? Red shoes. The disgusting world. Anyways, like I said, the victims and all the people who are suffering from the situation, I'm glad to see that Cleetus McFarland is responding better than our own fucking country. It is very disgusting and sad that our own country is not responding. But why are they letting Asheville just go down the gutter? I'm just saying, guys. See, y'all want to say, "Oh, I'm just a shill for the left or something." No, I'm pointing out the fallacies of both sides because of shit like this. You start following that money, that paper trail. Who runs stuff? Get down to the bottom of it. But geez, oh geez, I had some hair raised when I saw that 58 date on the creation of DARPA. Same year as Helen landing on America. The original, the OG Helen, Category 4, landed in Carolina. Now this one landed in Florida, but it seems like potentially it was a direct hit. Potentially, if you want to look at it that way. This is the only conspiracy theory video on this topic, and I don't even know. I'm just guessing. I'm just telling y'all what people are saying and why and how they would say it. This is some crazy shit, man. Look at that. Look at that. Empty. Bunch of privateers there to help people in Asheville, Ohio. Or Asheville, North Carolina. Sorry. I was saying Cold Trickle and all this shit this last week. The movie was, I was going on the Cold Trickle binge again here in the last few videos. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Tim Richmond was from Asheville, Ohio. Although Jeff Gordon was from California. That's why, and Cold Trickle, that's why I believe that was more so a prequel to him. But this happened in Asheville, North Carolina, the home base of NASCAR. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Full circle. The triangle. I told you the triangle, the trio is intact. Charlotte's Web, ladies and gentlemen. Charlotte's Web. Look it up. Oh, my. Charlotte's Web. Spiders and owls. Spiders and owls, Rico. Rico knows. Rico knows what I'm talking about. Is there anybody in the chat even talking? Hold on. I'm going to look for I put it on the screen. Oh, my God. I have to put it on the screen. The chat is definitely full-blown into it. He says, thinking you can control damage. Hold on. We got this guy right here. He thinks he knows. Thinking you could control damage from a hurricane on a city like Asheville, that's 100 miles inland is nutty. No, it's not. These people in the military-industrial complexes are planning operations years in advance. Chinese emperors plan 100 years in advance. Businessmen that you talk about plan 5 to 10. Chinese emperors are 100. Most of the time, military is 20 to 30. And when you get into defense technologies, you're talking about 50 to 60. If you don't believe me, Oculus Rift. Yes, the Oculus Rift is documented that it was in the 60s. The military had Oculus Rift in the 60s. So, I mean, to think that they can't, honestly, guys, this Knuckle Skinner doesn't know geology at all. Everyone knows, because I know, because when I helped, I'm a personal hurricane response guy myself. I went down to Hurricane Harvey, 150 miles from shore, to help the victims in Woodlands, Texas, after that hurricane happened, because anybody with a brain, unlike Knuckle Skinner here, back to Red Shoes, because anybody with a brain knows that when you have a hurricane hit a shoreline or a direct area, the river systems are what's going to suffer. The river systems are where the excessive water is going to drain. It doesn't just get to the shore and then just taper back out into the ocean, guys. It gets to shore and injects that water flow into the river systems. So if you know of a river system that is going to Asheville, Ohio, and that's what happened here, the river that leads to Asheville starts down there in Florida, then you know that that's a potential destination for an influx of a hurricane. This guy needs to go to school. That's not nutty. That's understanding of geology. What are you talking about? What do you not know? Anyway, I guess that's the only one we can talk about. That's the only one we can talk about. Was there any Jade comments? Nobody cares about Jade. Somebody said, okay, Chaz, we know the government is corrupt, so what's the next move in your eyes? I just kind of explained what the next move would be. You blame it on, we had this intense storms, which they always do this. They always blame the intense storms on global warming. Then you also pirouette off the emotional factor of the scenario. You sit there and you say, okay, well, even though this devastation in Asheville, North Carolina happened, instead of trying to rebuild the houses and everything we can't bankrupt the insurance companies that support the super PACs and all the campaign funds, which is why insurances are very interesting. Go look into those companies and their financial sectors. But we're facing global warming here. We have to respond. Asheville, North Carolina is now going to turn into a hub for green energy due to their lithium deposits that are within the area. And this whole area that was devastated will become the new central located hub for lithium power in America. We've turned an extreme negative into an extreme positive. That's what I would see. I mean, even if Trump wins, he's be like I said, Operation Warp Speed. He claims he's the reason the damn vaccine came out, right? He had warp speed. Y'all blame the vaccine and hate it, but your boy over there is the one who said, I did it. I think they're both full of shit, all of them. But that, and what I'm talking about, the conspiracy and the business sense of all this, the money that's being made, the DARPA, who literally was created in 1958, the same year as Hurricane Helen in 1958. All that's just crazy. All that's just nutty talk. But y'all people are talking about sounds of freedom 10 years after we're hearing about it out here in the regular world. I'm just saying. And to think that that technology doesn't exist, to be able to pull that off, like I said, Twister had a movie about it. And that movie, the same movie, was a recreation movie of them attempting to do it in the 90s. So they were already studying this on a military level, potentially, in the 90s. Probably even before that. And we can already look up how, China and all these other people, they already create clouds. What are you talking about? China can create weather. I'm pretty sure this is like, they're creating like underground cities and stuff. Yeah, I mean, they can create weather, guys. I don't know who hasn't told you this, but right here. Scientists from China universities put forward the project in 2015. It requires constructing an artificial air corridor to carry the water vapor. More recently, they have moved to develop satellites and rockets that would then monitor vapor presence and movement and redirect it to create precipitation. They have fucking satellites. They're telling you. You think China's the only one? It's just easy to say China's doing it so that we don't look bad. I wonder if we just typed in creating weather, if we would get a response. Creating artificial weather. Let's see here. Geoengineering. That's the topic. Is the term used to describe the manipulation of weather to combat the effects of global warming. According to the Oxford Geoengineering Program, these methods are generally split into two categories: carbon dioxide removal and solar geoengineering. Now, once again, to combat them would be just like the movie Twister. But when you have all these other elements and you have all this global battle, if we're going green, and we got a battle for lithium. We got a battle for lithium, whether we're going green or not. All of our cell phones, pretty much everything we use battery-wise that our society is introduced to and used to and going to operate on until the whole damn world resets, which is what some of you crazy people want. But it's a new resource. It's a valuable resource. It's the new oil. Now, we always joke and laugh or say people went to war back in the day for oil, and oil is the reason everybody goes and fights and this and that. Well, you got a new material coming along that's just as important as oil. It's called lithium. We don't have much of that in America. The places we have lithium deposits are where a bunch of people are. I mean, there are dots here. To be concerned about. I guess we could sit here and say Trump's going to save the day. I guarantee you that Kamala Harris would be masking this entire situation. I don't think Kamala Harris is going to be on the anti-global warming, but this is the problem. We're looking at Kamala Harris, and we're worried about people like that instead of DARPA. We're worried about Kamala Harris and Trump instead of DARPA. I can't believe y'all. You're worried about Kamala Harris and Trump. Doesn't make sense to me, guys. It doesn't make... People always joke and say, well, politicians are just puppets anyways. Well, who are they puppeteering for? They ain't never going to come out on the news and tell you, well, Trump is puppeteering for this guy and Kamala's puppeteering for that one. They're never going to do that, so who are they puppeteering for? You got these, you got BlackRock, you got Vanguard, you got the military, you got this guy, you got that guy. A lot of people believe it's China for one side and Russia's for the other. You got the geopolitical aspect. You got Canada with their UFOs and the F-22s. I mean, what do you want? I mean, come on now. Or is it really Dracon? Is it really back to the bloodline? It's a scary proposition. It could be. That's the problem. That's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. It could be back to the bloodline. Chaz Taylor Green. I don't know what that means, but thank you for the super chat. We haven't had a super chat in a long time. That has been the first super chat in a while, Knuckles Skinner. What do you mean by Chaz Taylor Green? I'm not supporting Greta Thunberg of USA. Are you the Greta Thunberg of the USA? No, I'm saying how that they're using Greta's and doing all this to manipulate. And it's for tax money, technically. It's all grab. Because if we go, say that plan of spinning Asheville into this lithium deposit, you think they want a private industry owning that lithium deposit? You think they want Exxon or BP to own that lithium deposit in Nashville? Do you think they want that? Oh, no. They need the USA to own that land. So that was the first mistake with the oil boom. The big issue with the oil boom was that private entities controlled the oil boom. And the government could just tax it. They didn't own it. That's the issue with weaponry as well. That's why this private contractor deal is such a big deal. When the regular people had access to the same weaponry as the government, it was hard to take over the people. Now, as much as people want to chant Second Amendment, there's no way that your AR-15s or whatever could take on a government. There's no way it's going to happen. You can't have a jet. You can't have a tank. You can't have all these things. So they've outpriced you in that department. You're done. Same thing with this energy situation. They probably want to have some kind of government control and ownership of a resource like that. So they probably would turn, in that scenario, Asheville into a lithium mine area, but it would be the government-based mine, similar to military and jets and all that. Like the taxpayers pay for all this. The taxpayers pay for this mine, and we get like a cut for all the fruits of the labor from that mine. And then that makes perfect sense is why we need all these migrants coming in, because the lithium mine work is shitty. No Americans are going to want to do it. So we need this huge force to be able to work it. Oh my, that works really well with forced migration or influence migration. Damn, this plan that I'm talking about makes a little bit more sense when you see what's going on. It's possible. It's possible. I'm not saying it is. I hope that everybody's just nice. I hope so. Not true. Largest lithium deposit is in Salenton City, where no one lives. Well, I'm not saying there isn't the largest, but I'm just saying that we don't have as much lithium as some of the spots that China has purchased in Mexico and in South America. There are some huge, huge places. And on top of that, China was the first one to start going around and buying up all the rights to these lithium mines across the world. They were a step ahead. That's the problem with the plan of going green with EVs, is because China is 10 steps ahead of everybody in the department of lithium-based energy in society. I'm not saying we don't have any, but everyone, including us, is behind, and we don't like that. We got to be somewhere up there. Now, we have the same dependency on Saudi Arabia and oil, but we still do have our own oil reserves that are protected, that we have just in case. You know, there's a reason they ain't tapping into these oil reserves and not allowing oil to be pumped from them. Those are emergencies. Those are like rations. If something was to ever fucking go down and the oil trade market shuts down, us having these reserves, they're called reserves for a reason, guys. It's just like when you join the Army Reserves, you're not going to battle, but in case something happens, you're there ready to go. That's like saying everyone in the Army Reserves should be going to war. No, we don't need them right now. And of course, the oil companies love to control the market. It manipulates politics, gas prices, this price, that price. They can use it how they want. So that's another reason they don't want to tap into them. It's not coming from just one front. It's many different fronts. That's why none of this has changed. Correct. 100%. It's multidimensional. Just like the people that run the world. It's multidimensional. Oh, God, I said it. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know who that is. Do I need to research this person? Who is Marger Drone? Are we going to get a live reaction as to how dumb this guy thinks I am? That's cool. It's fine. I've been called stupid over dumb, worser things. Who is that? She's pictured with Trump here. Who is this? Who is this? Black voices. Marjorie Taylor Greene slammed for attending football game with Trump as her state ravaged. Oh, this must be North Carolina? Is this Miss North Carolina? Or Alabama? Or who is it? I don't know. See, but I need to learn more government. Georgia. This is Georgia. Okay. No, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp said that at least 25 people died in the state. So he's going off on her. That's the Georgia government or governor. Well, she's the governor of North Carolina. So she's the one in with NASCAR. What's going on here? No, Republican of Georgia. I don't know. So this is just political. They're spinning it as well. So it's just a political battle. Is that why you referenced her? I'm trying to understand. That is a very racial comment, Knuckle Skinner. We need migrants to take the black and brown jobs. Wow. Okay, I know where you're coming from. You might as well rename your first name Leonard and put up the old rebel flag with comments like that. Might as well have the damn General Lee in your front yard. Unbelievable. That's the most racist comment I've seen on my shows. I guess this is what happens. Although we got your racist ass $20. Haha, we took your money. We got him. We got him, guys. We got him. Don't go back at the whiteys with ridicule. Go after their wallets, just like our politics do. The politics go after your wallets. They don't care if you're racist or not. Go out there and keep slaving away and making all that money. We want to tax and take it away from you. They playing the game. They don't care. Freedom of speech. Just go to work. Pay me. Pay me. That's what they do. That's what they do. They don't care about all this stuff. As long as you go to work, back to what I was saying earlier, the slave mentality, as long as you go to work, put in that 9 to 5, boy. And you don't want to go to work, but we're whipping you all day with that money. In history, to get somebody to do something they didn't want to do prior to money and all this stuff, whipped them, beat the hell out of them. Same concept now. Now, got something you don't want to go do? Give him the money. He'll do it. This is my discussion with women all the time. I'm like, okay, y'all may be taken advantage of in the patriarchy for sexual reasons. Like, back to what I just said. Women didn't want to have sex with me back in the day. Bam, just knock her out or something, back in the Stone Age. Now, just give her some money. That's all that matters. Just give her the money. She'll do it now. I mean, and that was actually the boom of the West Coast. The brothel houses is what created female independence in the United States. Go look that shit up. At the gold mines. Back to mining. God, full circle on this show today. Full circle. So scary. But anyways, they don't care if you make little racist comments like that. As long as you just go to work, make the money, and give it to them. That's all they care about. You are the battery of the operation. You are more powerful than the lithium. You are the battery of the operation. Oh, no, Dirty Larson Knight shows up. We got to go. Well, once the Larson Knight peeks in, we got to get out of here. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning into the show. I know it was a little different, but I think that was a really good hour. I haven't seen anyone talk about this hurricane deal and any kind of generalized thought creation-based idea with any common sense or anything. Maybe YouTube is snubbing these videos. Maybe if I went to Rumble, I'd see plenty. But I haven't seen any. So I was like, well, I'm going to talk about it because this is kind of stupid. This is kind of crazy here. This is not making sense. How did this hurricane go from a tropical storm to that strong of a hurricane in that short amount of time? Okay, that's unreasonable. That's odd. How could that happen? Okay, either global warming or geoengineering. Those are your two options. Okay, what would be the benefit of labeling this as a global warming situation. Oh, we got to go green. Oh, the town that everyone's hearing about that is getting destroyed is an area where lithium deposits are located that would push for the green situation. Okay. DARPA, 1958, Hurricane Helen. Look it up, 1958, Hurricane Helen, same year. I just learned about DARPA. Just learned that was the year that DARPA came out, 58, when I was showing you what it was. Scary times, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, Jade Avedisian. Back to the show. Jade Avedisian. Get in a sprint car, let's see what you got. Get in a sprint car, let's see what you got. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. Be sure to like, subscribe. As always, subscribe. We just got back over the 14K mark after having to provide some truth in the last few weeks. But be sure to subscribe. Comment below what you think. Thanks for a super chatter there. Knuckle Skinner. First one in a while. Who knew? Who knew? But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.